So next, let's get into some conspiracy theories. And where's a better place to start than the moon, right? The moon. So this video is this man just exposed the moon's darkest secrets. Let's get to it.
A WikiLeaks document in its global intelligence archives has generated much discussion for almost 4 years. This document, attributed to the State Department's Office of European and Eurasian Affairs, has the title Report on the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics' Destruction of a Clandestine United States Base on the Moon. However, no digital copy could be obtained as an electronic version was unavailable. 2 years after submitting the initial Freedom of Information Act request, the complete document has been formally disclosed.
I keep saying it, man. Some of that stuff that they be reporting, seeing from a distance, and you can't really make out what it is, be looking to me like a facility. I keep saying it.
Following the first publication of this document in the WikiLeaks database and its subsequent discovery by site users, considerable conjecture has arisen regarding its true significance, particularly in light of an actual project to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. Nonetheless, when reviewing the paper, it becomes evident that it was merely a letter addressing a 1979 inquiry conducted by former House of Representatives member Samuel Devine. The correspondence from Douglas J. Bennett Jr., Undersecretary for Congressional Relations at the State Department, clarifies that the assertion regarding the Soviet Union's destruction of a clandestine United States lunar facility in 1977 is false. Devine had evidently received correspondence from an elector named Tade Quentin Arbogast, inquiring about what he referred to as the Battle of the Harvest Moon. The Freedom of Information Act request was initially sent to the State Department in 2019. Subsequently, it was advised that the document be archived at the National Archives and Records Administration, where it would most likely be preserved due to its historical context. The document suggests that the US government kept the existence of this base a closely guarded secret, fearing international backlash and potential violations of treaties, which prohibits the militarization of celestial bodies. According to the account, only a select group of military and intelligence personnel knew of the base's existence.
Who? We need names. We need names. Expose. Let's expose them. Let's expose who they are. Like, I feel like this should warrant some type of an interrogation of such until, you know what I mean? Their names need to be exposed. Who they work with, who is in charge, all of that. Put it out there.
And all activities were carried out under the guise of other space missions. However, the document reveals that the Soviet Union somehow became aware of the base. US intelligence operatives were initially unsure how the Soviets learned about the lunar installation, but evidence suggested that Soviet spies had infiltrated key American space agencies or private contractors involved in the construction of the base. The US government believed the Soviets might have been planning their own covert moon mission, leading to heightened tensions. Insiders have said that the destruction of the base, as detailed in the document, had significant implications for US-Soviet relations. Despite the violent nature of the incident, both governments chose to avoid public confrontation. The US administration feared that disclosing the attack would not only violate certain laws, but also provoke a public outcry about the militarization of space. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, likely wanted to avoid being accused of attacking a manned facility, a potential violation of international law that could lead to diplomatic isolation. The document suggests that high-level diplomatic talks between the US and Soviet Union took place in secret to de-escalate the situation. Both sides agreed to bury the incident, with the understanding that further military actions in space could lead to catastrophic consequences for both nations. As a result, the US never publicly acknowledged the existence of the lunar base, and the Soviet Union never admitted responsibility for its destruction. The declassified document revealing the destruction of a secret US lunar base by the Soviet Union not only redefines the history of the space race, but also provides a compelling reason for the creation of modern space-based military strategies. The covert assault on this lunar base, a US lunar installation, exposed the vulnerabilities that nations face in space and underscored the need for greater control, defense, and security in this new domain. Many insiders who have studied these documents have said that
That makes sense, though. A lot of things that we use for defense here on Earth probably wouldn't work or be useful in space. So you kind of got to design this same defense weaponry mechanism, whatever it is we use for defense, a different way for space, right? I never really stopped to think about that, but that makes a lot of sense.
This incident, hidden for decades, stands as one of the foundational events that motivated the establishment of the United States Space Force, a branch of the military focused entirely on protecting American interests beyond Earth's atmosphere. The destruction of this base is a stark reminder of the strategic and military importance of space. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union recognized space as the ultimate frontier, not just for exploration, but for potential military superiority. The covert lunar incident demonstrated how space could easily become the next theater of warfare, with devastating consequences if one nation were to gain a foothold in outer space or on celestial bodies like the Moon. The Soviet Union's decisive and destructive response to the US lunar base highlighted how vulnerable space installations are to attack. This lunar base's fall was a wake-up call for the US military and government, showcasing the limitations of current defense strategies when applied to space. Despite technological advancements and the success of NASA's public missions, the covert operation exposed the US's lack of preparedness for defending space assets, leaving vital installations open to sabotage. With this in mind, the lunar base incident set the stage for future generations of military strategists and policymakers to consider space not merely as a domain for exploration, but as an operational environment that needed its own dedicated defense force. This realization would only grow stronger in the decades to come, as both the technology for space warfare advanced and new players, such as China and private space companies, entered the scene, adding more complexity and competition to the space race.
See, I was saying this the other day when I was talking about the International Space Station, and we were talking about something they saw in the distance, and I was like, yo, what do they have on the International Space Station to be able to protect them in the event of somebody trying to attack, pull up to the space station, take over it? Like, what is their defense? Or are they just sitting ducks in there and they don't care? Like, I've never heard that. So that's interesting that this type of a topic was discussed.
Although the US Space Force was officially established in December 2019, the roots of its formation can be traced back to concerns that emerged long before its public creation. The covert destruction of the secret military lunar base and the understanding that space could easily become a contested battleground played a significant part in shaping the direction of US military policy in space. The US Space Force was created as a response to the growing realization that space was no longer a peaceful domain for scientific exploration alone. Just as the lunar base incident showed, space assets like satellites, space stations, and potential moon bases could become prime targets for future conflicts. Space, much like air, land, and sea, was now seen as a domain that required protection, control, and defense. According to military analysts, the lessons learned from the Cold War, particularly the destruction of the secret US lunar base, emphasized the need for a dedicated military force capable of managing the complexities of space warfare. The US Space Force was designed to ensure that American assets in space, both civilian and military, are protected from any potential threats, whether from state actors like Russia or China, or from rogue actors and non-state entities. By creating a dedicated force, the US could streamline its space defense strategy, unifying satellite operations, missile defense, and space intelligence under one umbrella. The Space Force's primary responsibilities include developing systems to deter or defend against attacks in space, ensuring the protection of US satellites and space-based communication systems, and monitoring potential threats from other countries or entities that could disrupt US interests in space. These objectives take direct inspiration from the vulnerabilities that were exposed during the covert lunar base incident, where a lack of space-based defense allowed a foreign power to destroy a critical asset. The exploration of space particularly the Moon, has captivated human imagination for decades. The public narrative of human lunar exploration revolves primarily around NASA's Apollo program. Between 1969 and 1972, 6 Apollo missions successfully landed astronauts on the Moon. These historic achievements are some of the most well-documented and celebrated in the history of space exploration. After the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, the United States effectively ended its manned moon landings, citing high costs and shifting priorities in space exploration. However, this abrupt end to manned moon landings has always puzzled many observers. The immense investments in the Apollo program, both in terms of
like that's everyone's rebuttal when they say, you know what I mean, or everyone's question or their dig at why the moon landings were fake and different things like that, and then why haven't we gone back? That's always the thing. Why haven't we gone back? Why haven't we gone back? And somebody's like, well, it cost and things have changed and we need to figure that out and give all the information. And it's like, no. It's because we never went in the first place. That's always their thing.
Technology and human capital made it hard to believe that NASA or the US government would simply abandon lunar exploration after achieving success. Moreover, the Moon, with its potential scientific value and strategic importance, seemed too valuable to leave unexplored for decades to come. This discrepancy has led some to believe that not all Moon missions were made public. In recent years, declassified documents and whistleblower testimony have suggested that secret Moon missions may have occurred under the radar of the public and mainstream media.
Now that I believe that. I absolutely believe that they have not told us about every mission that has taken place. Successful or unsuccessful. I believe that. I'm with y'all on that one.
These documents point to a variety of covert activities, ranging from secret reconnaissance missions to the installation of classified equipment on the Moon. Although many of these documents remain heavily redacted, they provide tantalizing glimpses into the possibility of undisclosed lunar missions. Additionally, records from the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency have also hinted at secret reconnaissance activities on the Moon. These activities were reportedly conducted to monitor potential Soviet advances in lunar exploration, particularly during the height of the space race. Some of these documents refer to unmanned lunar operations, but the possibility of manned missions remains an open question. Adding fuel to the fire are accounts from former NASA employees and military personnel who claim to have knowledge of secret Moon missions. One such whistleblower, a former contractor at NASA, suggested that additional missions to the Moon were undertaken under the guise of unmanned lunar operations. According to their testimony, some of these missions involved installing monitoring equipment and conducting experiments that were too sensitive to disclose publicly. They also hinted at the possibility that these missions were carried out by astronauts trained specifically for covert operations, separate from the well-known Apollo astronauts. Another source of speculation comes from Apollo astronauts themselves. In various interviews over the years, some astronauts have alluded to the presence of unexplained phenomena on the Moon, as well as potential secret missions. For example, Apollo 14 astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, a strong advocate for transparency in space exploration, often spoke cryptically about military involvement in space and the presence of classified information related to extraterrestrial life and unknown lunar activities. While these statements have not been confirmed as direct evidence of secret Moon missions, they have added an element of mystery to the public's understanding of lunar exploration. One possibility is that secret Moon missions were part of Cold War efforts to gain a strategic military advantage over the Soviet Union. The Moon, located outside of Earth's immediate geopolitical reach, could serve as a platform for surveillance, missile detection, or even military installations. Keeping these missions secret would prevent the Soviet Union from developing countermeasures and maintain US dominance in space-related technologies. Another theory is that secret Moon missions were undertaken for the purpose of mining or exploiting lunar resources. The Moon contains valuable materials, including helium-3, which could be used for nuclear fusion, as well as rare minerals that are scarce on Earth. If the US government or private contractors had found a way to exploit these resources during the Cold War, it would have been advantageous to keep these activities classified to avoid geopolitical competition. Additionally, there is speculation that some secret missions might have been driven by scientific discoveries that were too sensitive to share with the public. Whistleblowers and conspiracy theorists alike have suggested that NASA or military agencies might have uncovered evidence of extraterrestrial activity or anomalous structures on the moon. In this scenario, secrecy would be necessary to avoid mass panic or maintain control over information related to potential extraterrestrial contact. While concrete evidence of secret moon missions has yet to emerge, the declassified documents, whistleblower accounts, and circumstantial evidence present a compelling case that not all lunar activity has been disclosed to the public. The idea of hidden missions raises important questions about transparency in space exploration, as well as the...
There is none. They're not going to give us transparency. They won't even give us transparency here on our own planet with different things. I.e., what we think they know about the pyramids and the Sphinx and different things like that. Like, we don't even get transparency in our government. You think they're going to give us transparency in space? Hold your breath.
The potential strategic and scientific motives behind classified lunar operations. As new space programs, both governmental and private, prepare to return to the moon in the coming decades, the truth about possible secret missions may eventually come to light. If covert lunar activities did occur, future missions could uncover physical evidence of these operations, such as abandoned bases, unexplained artifacts, or equipment left behind. Whether driven by military strategy, scientific discovery, or economic interests, the mystery of potential secret moon missions continues to captivate the imagination and deepen the intrigue surrounding humanity's relationship with the moon. In addition to the Apollo program and other publicly acknowledged space missions, there is increasing speculation that some lunar missions were classified and carried out without public disclosure. For decades, mysteries surrounding the moon have fueled speculation and debate, particularly following the Apollo missions. Among the most controversial claims is the idea that astronauts may have encountered evidence of extraterrestrial life or ancient alien structures during their lunar expeditions. While some still question whether NASA ever landed on the moon, the majority of experts support the validity of the 6 lunar landing missions. However, a growing number of NASA insiders and whistleblowers have alleged that the space agency has deliberately concealed critical information about what was truly discovered on the moon. One of the most well-known figures making these claims is Dr. Ralph Kennedy Johnston, a former NASA contractor and aerospace engineer. Born in 1942 at Fort Sam Houston U.S. Army Air Corps Base in San Antonio, Texas, Johnston played a crucial role in the Apollo program. He was one of the 4 civilian astronaut consultant pilots at NASA, responsible for helping train Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins for the Apollo 11 mission. Despite his extensive background in the aerospace industry, Johnston has since become widely known as a NASA whistleblower, though he rejects that label. Instead, he insists that he is simply sharing first-hand information that the public has a right to know. His allegations center around the claim that NASA is hiding evidence of ancient alien cities and advanced extraterrestrial technology on the moon. He asserts that some of these technologies are so advanced that they appear to manipulate gravity itself. Johnston's conflict with NASA began when he was ordered to destroy a near-complete collection of high-resolution glossy photo prints from the Apollo program.
Let's just say this. If he's lying, then he's not, then there's a lot of other ones that have that same lie. Why is that? Why is his story consistent with several other whistleblowers that have come forward? Why? Because people are going to be quick to say, oh, he's lying, he's this, they're going to do all the different things to discredit him. But his story is consistent with so many others who have come forward.
These images, which are reportedly of higher quality than what is available to the public, allegedly contain evidence of artificial structures and other anomalies on the moon. Johnston defied this order, choosing instead to preserve the photographs and later share them with the public. Over the past 4 decades, numerous scientists, engineers, and former NASA employees have accused the agency of withholding data and covering up evidence of anomalous objects in space. Many believe that NASA has deliberately hidden the discovery of artifacts on the Moon and Mars, as well as suppressed evidence of potential life detected by the Viking probe in the 1970s. Johnston's claims align with these suspicions, as he insists that Apollo astronauts captured photographic proof of alien structures during their extravehicular activities, EVAs, on the Moon. According to Johnston, NASA was so determined to erase this evidence that they ordered the destruction of all EVA images at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. When he refused to comply, he was ultimately dismissed from his position. His decision to go public with these allegations resulted in his termination from NASA and led to widespread controversy. In 2007, following the publication...
Right, that's so not fair. It's not fair to him and the others that want to come forward and aren't coming forward. That's not fair to them, bro. This is why we are where we are. This is why we don't have the information we want. And people possess it, but they're scared.
Of Richard Hoagland's book, Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA, Johnston's name appeared in quotes criticizing NASA for hiding crucial information. Shortly after, Kay Ferrari, the director of NASA's Solar System Ambassadors program at JPL, asked Johnston to resign. When he refused, citing First Amendment protections of free speech, Ferrari allegedly forced his removal from the program. Following his abrupt departure, Johnston stated that he was frustrated with the US government's decision to sit on classified evidence for more than 40 years. He claimed that images taken during the Apollo missions revealed ruins of ancient structures, including massive glass domes, towering stone spires, and even what appeared to be castles suspended in mid-air. The low-quality versions of these images that have been released publicly, according to Johnston, fail to capture the full extent of what was truly found on the Moon. Johnston remarked in an interview that he has nothing to lose. The subject of alien structures on the Moon remains one of the most hotly debated topics in space exploration circles. While NASA continues to maintain that there is no evidence of extraterrestrial artifacts, whistleblowers like Johnston argue that the truth is being deliberately suppressed. His claims raise questions about the extent of classified information held by space agencies and whether the world has been kept in the dark about discoveries that could reshape our understanding of the universe.
Hey, they released the Kennedy files. Why can't these files be released? I mean, you know what I mean? They did those. These are just as important to me, I think. They're just as important.
As discussions surrounding NASA cover-ups and extraterrestrial encounters continue, Johnston's testimony serves as a reminder that not everyone is convinced by the official narrative. For years, NASA has been accused of hiding evidence of unidentified flying objects and advanced spacecraft captured in its space imagery. While the agency has consistently denied such allegations, several former employees and contractors have come forward with claims that UFOs have been deliberately removed from official photographs before being released to the public. Among these whistleblowers is Donna Hare, a former NASA contractor, who has made extraordinary claims about the existence of high-resolution images of UFOs that never made it into public view. Hare, who worked for NASA in the 1970s, stated that she was given access to restricted areas where she saw classified space photos. According to her, NASA has a department specifically assigned to airbrush UFOs and other anomalous objects from space images before they are made available to the public. She claimed that she personally saw photographs where unusual objects were removed or edited out, ensuring that no evidence of extraterrestrial crafts would be revealed.
And see, this is what these non-believers probably picked up on, right? You know how you can study a photo and be like, that's fake, and then discredit the whole photo. Well, if they do something to airbrush on it to make it look fake, then here we are. Here we are. They're deliberately making this stuff look fake. And now you have the non-believers on your side, which creates more of a spectacle to say, hey, this ain't real. This never happened. Nothing's going on. Is space even real? Like, they're orchestrating this. They're controlling this.
In her testimony, Hare detailed a specific encounter with a colleague who worked in the photographic department. He confided in her that he was regularly instructed to remove evidence of UFOs from images taken by NASA's spacecraft and satellites. She also recalled seeing a high-resolution image of a disc-shaped craft floating above the Earth's surface, which was quickly removed from the room once she asked about it. Hare's claims align with long-standing suspicions that NASA has withheld crucial information regarding unexplained aerial phenomena. Many believe that if UFOs had been spotted in space or near the moon, NASA would have every reason to suppress this information, either due to national security concerns or to avoid mass panic among the public. Several other former NASA employees and contractors have made similar statements over the years. Some claim that astronauts aboard the Apollo missions saw strange objects monitoring their activities on the moon, only for their transmissions to be silenced or edited before reaching the public. There have even been reports that NASA possesses images of structures on the moon, suggesting the possibility of extraterrestrial activity or remnants of ancient civilizations.
And all of that is cool. Okay, we don't want to create a national security threat, right? Cool. We don't want to cause mass panic. Okay, cool. But then after time goes by and that stuff is it's shown to not be no longer a threat, and you ain't got to worry about panic, what's the harm in now releasing? I get it in the beginning, but what's the harm in after several years down the line releasing that information? They have yet to do that part.
The idea that NASA airbrushes or censors UFOs from its images is not new. Over the decades, amateur astronomers and independent researchers have scrutinized official space photographs and noticed unexplained anomalies, such as mysterious lights, unusual shapes, and objects that appear to be artificially constructed. Some believe that NASA's reluctance to address these anomalies publicly is part of a broader effort to keep the public unaware of the full extent of what exists beyond Earth. One of the most compelling arguments in favor of a NASA cover-up is the sheer number of reports from former employees, many of whom had no reason to fabricate such claims. If Hare and others are telling the truth, then the space agency has been actively concealing evidence of extraterrestrial encounters for decades. Hare also suggested that some NASA employees were warned to stay silent about what they saw. She recalled a chilling conversation in which a colleague expressed fear of losing his pension, or worse, facing severe consequences for speaking out. If this is true, it raises serious ethical concerns about how much the government and its affiliated agencies are willing to hide from the public.
That ain't even a question I got. How far are they willing to go? What are they willing to do to somebody to keep that information locked up in a secret? What are they willing to do? And if we're thinking the same thing, I'm thinking they're willing to go that far if they have not done so already.
Another strong piece of evidence supporting the NASA cover-up theory comes from live-streamed footage from the International Space Station. On numerous occasions, NASA's live feed has suddenly cut off when an unexplained object appears in the background. This has happened multiple times, leading many to question whether the agency is deliberately shutting down live transmissions to prevent the public from seeing something they weren't meant to see. The implications of these claims are profound. If NASA has indeed been suppressing evidence of UFOs and extraterrestrial technology, then the entire narrative of space exploration could be missing key information. Humanity may not be alone, and there could already be evidence of intelligent life that has been hidden from us. As more whistleblowers come forward and technology advances, it is becoming harder for organizations like NASA to keep such secrets buried. In recent years, the US government itself has admitted that military pilots have encountered UFOs that exhibit capabilities far beyond known human technology. With so much growing evidence, the possibility that NASA has been involved in a decades-long effort to obscure the truth becomes more plausible. The question now remains: how much longer can NASA and other government agencies keep this information hidden? If Donna Hare's testimony and that of other former employees are true, then the world may be on the verge of a revelation that could change our understanding of the universe forever. Whether through whistleblowers, leaked documents, or future space missions uncovering undeniable proof, the truth about UFOs and their connection to NASA's space exploration programs may soon come to light. In recent years, NASA has released hundreds of photos that appear to show unidentified flying objects approaching the International Space Station and other space missions. Many of these photographs depict unusual, unidentified objects that do not match any known satellite, spacecraft, or space debris. In some cases, the objects appear to be disc-shaped or orb-like, hovering near the ISS before suddenly vanishing or changing direction at unnatural speeds. NASA has historically attributed these anomalies to light reflections, ice particles, or camera malfunctions, but critics argue that the consistency of these sightings, along with their advanced maneuvers, suggests something far beyond conventional explanations. There have been multiple instances where live NASA broadcasts from the space station were suddenly cut off just as a mysterious object entered the frame. These abrupt interruptions have led many to suspect that NASA is actively trying to conceal evidence of these encounters. Some former employees and whistleblowers have even alleged that NASA regularly edits or censors footage before releasing it to the public. If these UFOs are indeed advanced extraterrestrial spacecraft, it would mean that NASA has been silently observing their presence for decades without providing full disclosure to the public. The increasing number of these images, coupled with whistleblower testimonies and government admissions of UAP encounters, strongly suggests that humanity may not be alone in the universe. Many believe it is only a matter of time before NASA and other space agencies are forced to reveal the full truth about what is really happening in space.